As Vladimir Rebelov pulls the child by its wrist, the others bow their heads. The nearer they come to the hole at the end of the hallway, the more the child tugs back, looks up to the surrounding empty faces for support. It cries, so Vladimir stops, strikes. The child falls, then scrambles up, tries to flee. It is stopped by the hands of the others around them. When Vladimir grabs it by the wrist again, the child gives in, follows. It is easier to make out the interior of the hole now. There is the outline of a chair angled up towards a ceiling of metal and glass. When the child sees the belts hanging to each side of the chair, it freezes. Vladimir's firm grip drags it forward. As they reach the hole, he lifts up the child. "In we go?" he asks someone. He places the child into the chair and pulls the belts tightly around its chest. "Can you breathe?" The child shakes its head. "Liar." Vladimir points to a dot on the ceiling. "What do you do when this one lights up?" The child points to a button behind the chair. "And what about this one?" The child shakes its head. "Exactly. You do nothing." Vladimir frowns and points to the ceiling again. "And this one?" The child points at a button. Vladimir slaps its hand. "Wrong." The child looks around, points to a handle beside the chair. "Come on now, remember it already." Something pulls Vladimir's attention back to the hallway behind them. "What?" "Yes, of course he will," he answers some unintelligible voices. When he returns, he is holding a helmet with a pitch-black visor. He shoves it down onto the child's head. The child squirms as its ears are folded, squashed by the tight rim of the helmet as it slams into place and seals. "Be steady," says a muffled voice. "Behave." The child's world goes dark. It holds its breath. Its ears slowly unfurl in the cramped helmet. The world unmutes by a tiny fraction. The black visor lifts and the child can see the hawkish, wrinkled face of Vladimir again. "I will close the door now." Vladimir frowns. "Do you hear me? Count to 100. You can do that, right?" The child stares. "Count to 20, and then do it all over again, 5 times. All right?" He shuts the door, plunging the tiny room into darkness. There is the metallic screech of a lock slowly grinding into position. It rings in the child's ears before fading into silence, leaving only a heavy, labored rasping. The child soon realizes that this horrid sound is its own breathing. Then, just as its eyes adjust to the near black darkness, harsh, bright lights cut through the Eigengrau as buttons and screens and indicators flicker to life. The child winces in pain as its vision adjusts. Then the handle beside the chair blinks blue and begins to vibrate. The chair shakes, the whole room shakes. The child closes its eyes. Breathe in, breathe out, deeper, deeper, deeper. The buttons start to flicker faster and make incomprehensible sounds. The speakers crackle. Me can me free button over, says a voice. The child presses a button on the ceiling. Got it. It's underway. Over. The room trembles and roars like a beast. Steel groans. Alarms screech. Breath is sucked out of the child's lungs. All goes silent. Then there is the ominous cling of something small and metallic hitting the floor behind the chair. Horror flutters in the child's stomach. It turns in its seat, or at least turns as much as the belts will allow, and inspects the origin of the sound. The floor is unlit. It can't see anything. It tries to run its hand along the surface of the floor, but can't quite reach. is being heated. Fuel, 4 minutes. Over. Several buttons blink. The child presses the button next to the chair. Central, crackles the speaker. Everything is in order. Over. He presses the button again. Central, we are confirming that everything is in order. Over. Listen to them, says Vladimir's voice. Everything is in order. Over. The room quakes again. The child feels like its bones are being shaken apart. Core is being heated. Fuel, 3 minutes. Over. The child presses the button again. Central, says Vladimir's voice. He's just panicking. Everything is in order. Over. Central confirmed. Over, says the other voice. Side motors are now active. Over, interjects a new voice. The child clings to the seat. Its knuckles go white. It stifles tears, breathes steady and slow. It again reaches behind the chair. Fingers wiggle uselessly in the dark. The room shakes again. The child braces. Its heart thrashes. There is a fresh ringing in its skull. Its gritted teeth rattle louder and louder. The blinking buttons become smeared rays of light. The walls are crumbling. One of the lights squeaks. Core active. Over. Fuel, 2 minutes. Over. Letting out a sigh that is almost a whimper. The child again stretches, again catches nothing. It just can't reach far enough. It looks up at the belts that are holding it. All side monitors active. Over. The child tugs at the iron clasp on the belt. It does not move. T1, leave the tower. Over. The child punches the clasp. Nothing. Level 2 problems with fuel flow. Over. Central, confirm the status. Core, over. The child punches it again with all its strength. Its knuckles sting. The clasp releases. The child quickly crouches, runs its hands along the floor, scanning, searching. Core is active, over. Fuel, 1 minute, over. The child catches a solid particle in its glove, a fallen screw. It glints. Countdown in 2 minutes, over. T1 is evacuated, over. The child looks towards the ceiling and tries to fit the screw back in. Fuel emission terminated, over. The screw doesn't fit anywhere. The room trembles. The child is thrown from its seat. The screw slips from its grip as it is hurled towards the wall, helmet smashing into a light. Cracked glass catches the surrounding radiance, flickering like distant stars. The child hugs the chair and waits with rattling teeth for the silence. A couple of buttons beep. Motors ready, over. Fuel successful. Launch in 2 minutes, over. The child climbs down from the chair and once again desperately searches the tiny room for the loose screw, running its hands along every surface, probing every corner it can think of, but it just can't find it. It presses the button. Central, everything is in order. No one is there anymore. The tower has been evacuated. Get ready for launch. Over. It presses the button again. When there is no answer, it presses again and again. The child starts punching the button. Countdown in a minute. Over. The child bites its lip. On all fours, it sweeps its hands over the floor one last time. The screw is nowhere. Some buttons buzz. Get ready for countdown. Over. Side motor starting, over. The child weeps. It punches the ground and climbs into the chair. Confirmed. Launch in 1 minute, over. As it sits down, something stabs it in its thigh. The screw is on the seat. Core starting, over. The child grabs the screw, looks up at the ceiling. It feels around for some recess. The room begins to shake once more. The child holds onto the chair with one hand, reaches upward. Steel groans. The noise hurts its ears. The room shakes faster and faster. Lights smear into jagged lines. Then it finds the little hole in the ceiling. It carefully puts the screw inside and turns. It fits. 30 seconds. Son, can you hear me? Asked Vladimir. The child grabs for the belts above. They slip out of its grip. Son, you won't be able to hear from us for a while. All right? The child again tries to grab the belts. They rattle from their fixtures and collapse to the floor. Then the screw falls to the ground again. And then another, and another. It won't hurt. It'll shake a lot, and you won't be able to breathe so well, but it won't hurt. You're a man. You've got this. The child doesn't know what a man is. Initiating countdown. The view up there, I've heard it's very nice. The child punches the button. The child kicks the speaker. Ten, 9, 8. We will cure you, son. It kicks again. The speaker crumples. It hugs the chair. Its fingers hurt. Everything is shaking, shaking, shaking. The noise is unbearable. The lights are unbearable. And something pushes the child into the seat. Fast, labored breathing stops. Pressure in the eyes. Chills along the back. Then suddenly, it is in a place where the sights and sounds no longer hurt.